Welcome back, everybody, for our third game of the day. I'm Captain Flowers, and I am joined by our friend who's back from across the ocean, but not really because he never actually traveled there. It is Mr. Kobe, and we will be taking you through these last three games here on this lovely Saturday afternoon with this first one, pitting 100 Thieves up against FlyQuest. Now, 100 Thieves is still fighting for an upper bracket there in the playoffs, and although they're eliminated, FlyQuest is working on improvements for summer.
They certainly are. And one of the improvements and tests that they've been doing is they've actually changed some players. You know, they put in Dreams, and Dreams has had a long career over in Europe, multiple teams since 2016 even he started playing. First game in the LCS, I think is definitely passable. We definitely need some more data here, how it's going to work in with the rest of the team. Probably take some time to really develop the synergies there. But one thing is for sure for me, the first time around FlyQuest played 100 Thieves, it was a big bottom difference. FBI and Huhi smashed this game. They had the fasting Senna and farming Tom Kench, and they absolutely blasted FlyQuest bottom lane and actually carried the game really hard for 100 Thieves. So I think this adjustment that FlyQuest are making here later on, swapping out Diamond for now, seeing if Dreams is going to provide some better synergy, some better bottom lane power for them, is a perfect time to do it. With this matchup coming up, because bottom lane definitely will be a focus here. Other thing for 100 Thieves, I did like in the little preview of the champ select we got with the first time around, where they had the Twisted Fate Talia Renekton. They were showcasing, hey, even with Demonte out, we're willing to go back to super proactive globals, tower diving, this top triangle of the map of TF Renekton Talia that they used so successfully in Lock-in tournament and in the beginning of spring. They're willing to go back to it. They're still undefeated. 5 games of Twisted Fate for Demonte. So I want to see if they can do it this time around as well, or if FlyQuest will take a note from Immortals and ban the Renekton away.
Well, let's see how it shakes out. We got him into Champion Select here. Hey, there it is. It didn't even take 10 whole seconds for Kobe to be proven right for the first time here today. Okay, now we've also got Seraphine and Thresh and Olaf banned away, with one more ban to go for either side before the picks start up.
Yeah, FlyQuest, they were one of the first teams to jump on the Seraphine train. They have been the team most willing to use it and flex it between all these different roles as well. So I'm pretty sure that's Freak's favorite team, because that's his favorite champion. Feels like it's the most busted in the game. Good ban there by 100 Thieves. They are also doing their homework here. Tristana being banned out actually raises the priority on Twisted Fate a lot. Tristana is the premier counter to Twisted Fate because of your, lane pressure into killing turret plates if he ever even tries to leave lane. So I think that puts even higher value, on the Twisted Fate. And with Everfrost being so good now, you basically guarantee your picks. Twisted Fate with the added snare, from Everfrost after Gold card is such a long lockdown. That's what I want to see is, some proactive pickups there. Kaisa Udyr here, 400 Thieves though. This is the most contested AD carry, Flowers, and you know why.
Yeah, Kaisa has been pretty broken for a long time now. She remains at the top tier of play. Tristana's really the only other marksman that feels like she competes with Kaisa, and with her banned out, that just makes sense that 100 Thieves want to swoop that one up quickly. But worth also noting that FlyQuest did take Hecarim as the first pick of the entire draft. This champion has moved into the S tier for junglers as well. That Udyr will be playing against him here, and it's Gnar and Twisted Fate picked up for FlyQuest, with Silas being the answer from the Thieves.
Yep, see, when you ban away Tristana, kind of giving away there for FlyQuest, pick up the Twisted Fate as expected. Silas is not as good of a counter for me. I do still like, you can steal away his ultimate, and I do think Ryoma had a good Silas game previously for 100 Thieves. But it does take a bit more scaling, a little bit more time to scale up. Silas has gotten so many buffs, for a lot of his stats scaling up per level, that he definitely becomes a monster, and especially with some cooldown reduction, can navigate fights versus what now is primarily tank Hecarim with Turbo Chem Tank, not dealing as much damage, not really carry Hecarims anymore, and a Gnar being frontline. Silas can definitely, navigate through those as well. Coming down the line though, they're banning away some of your options into Gnar. For the side of FlyQuest, Jace has been most frequently used as far as that counter matchup, and since they already banned the Renekton in round 1, they feel confident here, just cleaning out the rest of Sunday's options.
Yep, the Jace banned away, Tom Kench, Vayne banned out by 100 Thieves, not wanting to deal with that late game hyper carry potential, 6 shots and anybody's out of the fight, not looking to contend with that one here today. Final ban of this draft will be Gangplank from FlyQuest. So yeah, staying with that top lane.
Yeah, and they also don't want 100 Thieves to be able to answer some of the globals here. They've got Dive and they've got Twisted Fate. So they want to make these Hecarim plus Twisted Fate combination plays. Probably looking towards the bottom half of the map, waiting to see about, Johnson and Dreams locking here. But that would be my theory, because that's where most of the damage has to come from if you're looking at the rest of the holes that FlyQuest have to fill in their team comp. So it's this intelligent ban there, taking away the Gangplank, whose ultimate would provide some problems with that strategy. 100 Thieves, though, saying someday, let's see it, have the Camille. If you get early jungle pressure up against Gnar Camille matchup and you get that Camille to a first item, she will absolutely blast mini Gnar. Camille has really good decision-making choices here for when to go all in on Gnar. And you can use your ultimate, even Hextech Ultimatum, untargetable frames to dodge Gnar ultimate as well if he goes for the engage on you. So this is definitely a good skill matchup there for Someday, which I think they feel confident in considering the last few games for Licorice. Xayah coming in here for FlyQuest. I do think it is still going to be the bottom focus for FlyQuest. And I want to see, if Dreams actually does pair it with the Rakan well, there you go. We got our lovers doing flowers.
Well, now we don't have to wait.
They're going to get attention as well. So you know what that signals to me? You better take cleanse on this Kai'Sa, FBI.
Oh.
You are omega trolling if you do not have cleanse here. Twisted Fate is coming for that bottom lane. So yeah, I think we're gonna need to keep that cleanse. Mid lane as well you might need some attention here. Anytime you can get extra jungle pressure to push out a wave and unlock your Sylas in this matchup, it really helps because Twisted Fate will still be able to abuse early on and get those openings for the first couple ultimates, which can definitely be devastating to that bottom lane. If the Kai'Sa gets behind a couple of those successful TF ganks early on, that can be a win condition for FlyQuest.
And I like the Leona pick into Rakan. This is a champion that historically has been picked to deal with him back when Xayah and Rakan were the top choices in the bottom lane. Leona lanes against him well. Leona Kai'Sa also have great synergy between the two of them, being able to dive in onto targets together. So hopefully this bottom lane is nice and spicy. And if you're a FlyQuest fan, hopefully it's not as much of a bot diff as it was the first time around that these two teams collided.
Yeah, I definitely think 100 Thieves feel pretty confident coming in with this draft. Let's see what FlyQuest can do, though. They've stolen away the Twisted Fate, the crown jewel of the 100 key Thieves Empire. See if Palafox can make some early proactive plays. He's definitely one of the players here on FlyQuest coming in with this development mindset for this roster, straight out of Academy. Since they already put Diamond back on the bench for a little bit more time, practicing up until he can make a resurgence and get some more time in the LCS. Palafox will be the one carrying that C9 Academy flag here for FlyQuest on the Rift.
And talking about carrying your flag forward, it's very important for 100 Thieves to make sure that they are marching all the way to the finish line super strong here in these last couple of games for the split regular play before mid-season showdown. They're at 10-6. There's plenty of other teams at 10-6 right next to them, and there are not enough spaces for everybody to make it into the upper bracket of playoffs.
Yeah, it sure is a tough world out there, Flowers. It's getting down and dirty for the playoff spot qualifications. Licorice here with an early ward as well, protecting the possible transition from Udyr. I will say, with Hecarim being so popular, one of the only times that he really is vulnerable and does have some weaknesses is in the first clear. If you play champions that can really abuse early on, most notably for solo queue strategies like, Kindred, Red Buff, level 2 invade or something like that, you do have to be worried if you're the Hecarim. So a little bit of defensive warding like that does go a long way. Like the look out there from Licorice, trying to protect his jungler's top side. But again, I think a lot of FlyQuest will be looking towards the bottom. Both of the AD carries have taken the cleanse because of the Leona response here that you're talking about for those all-ins from the 100 Thieves side as well.
Bottom side, it was FBI and Huhi already jumping in at level 1, putting a little bit of damage into Johnson's health bar. Of course, FlyQuest are fine, just stepping back a little bit, allowing this wave to move forward. Licorice jumps in, having the level 2 advantage over Someday. The Gnar bar is charged, but will not commit any further here to this one. Closer's just clearing all the way through his jungle, top side to bottom side. Jose Deodo doing the opposite here, starting in his bottom side jungle, moving towards that northern half of the map. So it looks like the junglers, since they're heading in opposite directions here, Kobe, Jose Deodo doesn't really have to worry about Closer being up in his face early on, like you were talking about could be a weakness of the champions.
Yeah, I think it should just be traded Scuttle Crabs. I think Licorice will be very happy to have Jose heading up towards top side to secure top Scuttle. Maybe even sweeping out some of the vision for Someday to really allow Licorice to abuse the early part of Gnar versus Camille. It doesn't want Camille to get any sort of help if she gets an item lead, then it could be really scary. Her biggest threat is her gank setup on Gnar, because the E is so quick and easy to jump onto mini Gnar, and the ultimate combination works out really well in the Camille favor. She's definitely got a good advantage as far as gank setup, but that does require the jungler to path to that side of the map.
Well, both junglers have made their way here into the mid lane, so we got a 2v2. Damage coming down onto Ryoma and Palafox both, as Palafox is running out with 200 HP here, but maybe the chains come down. First blood over to Closer, and 100 Thieves win the fight.
100 Thieves with the 2v2 all-in. I love how many times we see this. It is just opposite jungler clears. You know, generally most junglers start at their reds and then clear bottom side after trading Scuttle Crabs, then just going both mid and having the 2v2 brawl. Teleports are both answered there from the mid laners. Ryoma's not going to let Someday get dove early on and relieve some of the early pressure here on the Camille. Pretty even trade there, though, honestly, with the teleports as the minion wave still in mid. But here's our 2v2 brawl, Flowers. Waste no time. Really good initiation from 100 Thieves and Ryoma. With them having the Udyr side of it, the bear stun's really, really easy for getting the advantage. You can see Jose Deodo there. It's hard for Hecarim to peel for his mid laner. If you're the one with the Udyr, it's easy. You know, you can bear slap each of them. No cooldown on that to be able to use it on both targets. Really good for 2v2s. But the Hecarim, you're just kind of walking around there, spinning your helicopter, and just hoping that they miss-target you or decide to back off on the dive. 100 Thieves keep it up, though, and they get that first blood, get that Sylas, that lead versus Twisted Fate. Definitely going to be a big thing, because even if Sylas gets to level 6 before Twisted Fate, and Twisted Fate is not level 6, you can still steal his ultimate and even get your own Twisted Fate playoff before the Twisted Fate himself does.
That's one of the worst feelings as any champion playing against Sylas when he hits level 6 before you and just uses your ulti before you get a chance for it. Feels like he's cheating a little bit, but that is how the ulti is designed. Down here in the bottom lane, FBI and Huhi are stepping forward. They know the Closer's on this side of the map, so that at least if they end up having to deal with the enemy jungler, then they would have backup somewhere nearby. But Jose Deodo is all the way up there in that northern side of the jungle here. And one thing I do want to point out, a lot of times recently, we have been seeing junglers rush towards a tier 2 boot, and often it is the Ionian Boots of Lucidity for the extra ability haste, summoner spell haste. This time around, Closer has opted into the plated steel caps. Makes a lot of sense to me. The only thing that really is coming after him as an AP threat would be Twisted Fate, who isn't a super high damage champion. But Xayah, Hecarim, Gnar, all of these will be doing physical damage, and the steel caps will help him tank that up and stay in the front line.
Yeah, the thing about Twisted Fate is pretty much single target versus Udyr, because you have so much move speed. The only way you get hit by the wild cards is if you're already stunned up and he's actually focusing you. And if he's focusing you, that's great. For the
he's not
Udyr team.
focusing Kai'Sa.
So he should be able to dodge, the small bit of AoE that comes out of Palafox and can easily focus on armor. Plus, Udyr it gets plenty of cooldown reduction with the rest of the tank build that he goes for, so doesn't have to rush into the Lucidity. You still definitely can do it. Changing stances early on for stance dancing is a little bit earlier of a power spike, but being so much more tanky with the steel caps, like you're talking about, and like we set up in Champ Select of it being bottom focus, Xayah's going to have to be a big damage dealer for FlyQuest. Definitely like the choice there, because you still get your tier 2 and your extra speed.
Absolutely. We still have a very close game between the squads. Honestly, that first blood that 100 Thieves got for themselves hasn't put them super far ahead. When you look at how much gold first blood with an assist is worth, it's about 600, whereas the gold difference between the teams is only 200 or 300. And that's because of the farm advantages that we're seeing in the mid lane, in the bottom lane. Twisted Fate also just having his passive that gives you extra money by nature of being Twisted Fate is making sure that FlyQuest isn't actually behind in this game, despite the fact that they lost that 2v2 back in mid. Now, aside from gold, 100 Thieves did find the first Drake of the game there for themselves when Closer was on the bottom half of the map. That was nice and early around the 6-minute mark, so if they can keep that stack going, they do have the ability to threaten a potentially early Drake Soul. Ryoma had stolen away the Palafox Twisted Fate ult, but it just expires, and he doesn't really get a chance to roam anywhere with that one just yet.
I would also say on the side of 100 Thieves, they have a lot of damage scaling. So they have definitely quite a few areas that benefit very heavily from gold. So even being ahead, just the first blood and just the first dragon, I think it's a really good scenario for the opening of this game. They didn't have to give up any objective for the bottom dragon. You see here chasing Jose even away from the Rift Herald pit. And Closer being able to secure this vision control for them around the river feels like a very, very good start here for the 100 Thieves side. Now, all this being said, FlyQuest are going to have very big engage towards the mid game here. Multiple options with the Hecarim, with the Gnar, and the Rakan, all starting out and focusing on looking for dive opportunities until 100 Thieves get to scale up some of their damage carries here, with the Camille and Silas both benefiting a lot from scaling. That is going to be their main priority. Closer and Ryoma just chase him off the Rift Herald here, and he actually goes for the full recall, just seeding, even though they had Rakan. You make the early roam up, because you see Kai'Sa actually leaving bottom lane, they call it off.
Okay, so we had the Rift Herald essentially pseudo-leashed. Jose Deodo started that one up. Closer was too close, so Jose walks away. And right as Shelly walks back into the pit, there's somebody else just walking up and ruining her day. Closer will pick up that first Rift Herald eye here for 100 Thieves. Plenty of time during the full 4-minute duration to get plate value out of that one. We'll wait and see where 100 Thieves decides to use that, because when we're looking at the turret plate situation on the FlyQuest side, all 5 plates are standing in all 3 lanes. So Closer doesn't exactly have an opportunity to push into any of those just yet and guarantee a full turret take. So this may just be 2 plates worth of money and nothing more.
I do want to point out some of the macro, but we'll wait for this fight first.
Oh, wow, the 3-man play from FlyQuest, and they just delete Someday before Ryoma's able to arrive in time with a teleport.
Yeah, guess what? Now you see him, and now you don't. Twisted Fate magic in action. Captain Flowers, Palafox right up to the top side. Full CC combo, 100-0 onto Someday. I was just going to compliment 100 Thieves for their macro in the Rift Herald play as well. Something they did in Lock-In was so good. They would not over-rotate for objectives. And they only half-rotated FBI up the river. As soon as they actually chase Jose off and he gets off his recall, they send him right back down bottom. So they didn't give up those normal, wave pushes plus turret plates in going for the Rift Herald. And then Closer being able to use it down here immediately takes this bottom turret down to barely over 1 turret plate, cashing in very quickly here for FBI 400 Thieves with that gold. But the proactive play we want to see from the Twisted Fate, well executed by FlyQuest, and 50% left on that cooldown here for Palafox to look for the next one.
So Rift Herald was summoned up bottom side, just got those 2 plates. They, of course, knocked down that first one before summoning it up, so 3 plates total taken down here. Drake alive for the 2nd time this game, and it's 100 Thieves immediately walking over right as it spawns to pick that one up and keep the stack going. Ryoma's originally here to help, but noticing that nobody from FlyQuest wants to try to contest, the remaining players can just walk away and allow Closer to solo this one down. He'll have no issues doing that as an Udyr here. But topside, FlyQuest might be looking to bring the pain train right back into Someday Station, and the man has to walk all the way out, giving due respect over to this team that already showed they are not afraid to commit multiple players to shutting him down.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be painful for Someday. He's fighting for scraps here with the juggler. Give me your tiny little nugget of gold here off the Krugs. You can get a few little pieces. But with the overall team comp for FlyQuest, remember, their main carry threat is going to be the Xayah, and 100 Thieves focus on bottom side is just pumping up FBI. Remember, first matchup between these two teams, big carry performance out of FBI and Huhi. Guess what? They get the attention from 100 Thieves. Rift Herald pop down there. First turret is already taken with that early Rift Herald that they just used, knocking off those couple plates. And this is going to mean Kai'Sa has more room to work with. Camille teleport is ready. Ultimate can be used to get those pickoffs. Ryoma's ultimate once again, has timed out as well. Stole again, I believe, the preemptive Palafox ulti for Twisted Fate to try and cover that play. And didn't come to anything. So there is a small opening here for FlyQuest to try and take advantage with this Twisted Fate, as 100 Thieves will go for their swap, get that Kai'Sa up to the top side of the map. And it looks like we're into a pause, buddy. Get that forehead back up. Wait.
All right, no more forehead.
And let's take a look here. Honestly, it was a pretty fun opening. I like the intentions from both sides. FlyQuest actually made the choice with how successful 100 Thieves were in their macro to actually pry open one of the small areas on the map that they could, going for the dive, the proactive play on top side, getting the kill onto Camille. But it really does feel like 100 Thieves game plan is a well-oiled machine.
Well, we have been notified. There is a pause. We will let y'all know as soon as we have any details about that, as to what the source is, how long it's going to take to fix, whatever. In the meantime, we've got the draft, everything up on the screen right now for the discussion points. We're getting to the point in the game where we'll probably start seeing some larger skirmishes here soon, particularly with Twisted Fate and Sylas in the game. That's two different Twisted Fate ultis that can show up anywhere. So I guess the question I want to pose for you, Kobe, since we just have a little bit of time to spitball some ideas here, where's the next big fight actually going to break out? Because we haven't seen a ton aside from that small skirmish in the mid lane and then the dive onto Someday top side.
I think it's going to be towards the top side of the map because 100 Thieves just pulled the lane swap off. They're going to send Kai'Sa and Leona up to top side. Kai'Sa now is level 6 and Leona about to hit that level 6. So remember early in the game when we're talking about Sylas stealing Twisted Fate ultimate, even possibly before Twisted Fate knows it himself. And you get kind of this, how do you research technology that I don't even know in my brain yet? Type of feeling from Civilization. It always brings me back to having spies in enemy territory where you can take their technologies. That play for 100 Thieves should be very, very high on that priority list because of the way that Camille's been set behind early. You're not really trying to play off of Someday right now. He's just trying to scale up. Doesn't even have the first item yet for Camille. Can actually teleport into one of the plays and use the Hextech ultimatum if you're able to get your numbers advantage, and is really good at catching people. But really, the fact that FBI has been funneled so much of this money, so much of this early attention is just where they want it. Fed Kai'Sa for the mid game, it makes picking people off really easy.
So very powerful, especially when you look at all that lockdown. You're talking about Camille being able to go in there with the ultimatum. Leona is just a CC machine. Sylas can lock people down effectively. We already talked about what can happen when Closer gets to stun everybody with the bear. Just run in, run, stun, job done. And so everybody else is just there to facilitate all this damage.
Plasma
flowing out of this
Plasma
champion.
for you.
So if FBI can have one of those pop-off style of games, it's up to FlyQuest to find the answer for him. And what would that answer be, I suppose, is the question here for FlyQuest, because they're focusing Someday right now, which is great. You're getting Gnar ahead, right? You're making it so you at least have some sort of advantage on the other end of the map, but is that enough to deal with Kai'Sa?
Yeah, I mean, and that is going to be the thing. Someday can testify to what it can feel like for FBI coming up. FBI did take cleanse, remember, as we recommended. So he should be able to evade first attempt from FlyQuest, because even if they have Twisted Fate, Rakan, Hecarim, Gnar. Well, if you have all of them and they're in position and they find a flank, you're still gonna be under a lot of pressure for FBI. But he can cleanse ult for repositioning, still has flash, so there is a decent amount of counterplay right now for FBI with that, and he has some decent peeling on his team. That is going to be the big decider, though, because FlyQuest there with the Xayah, they can most of the time just leave Xayah to fend for herself with the self-peeling and focus on their dive opportunities. Problem for them, for FlyQuest also, is though, with that first blood for Sylas, Ryoma is no slouch. And I wanted to examine this. Now that we've got a pause, we might as well go into it.
What do you got, Professor Kobe? Let's do the big brain.
No better time than now. The Damonte and Ryoma topic, Flowers. All the rage, even involves some existential talks of 100 Thieves' identity, and thinking about who they are now, who they really want to be in the future. At least for now, with the first 4 games, Ryoma actually has statistically the highest damage percentage of any player, or I believe it's any player. Maybe it's only any mid laner. Any mid laner in the entire league, 30.8% damage share for his team. And Damonte was, because he roams so much and because he had that set up playstyle for the rest of the team, the last place with 21.9% damage share for the team. So you can really see the difference in the two players and the playstyle that they've thought about here for 100 Thieves. Sylas is definitely one of the champions that already Ryoma was able to effectively use and had some good ultimate steals for himself. So I think it actually does, kind of back up what they're actually looking for.
Well, one quick update I've got for y'all here. Apparently, one of the teams is experiencing connection issues. The pause is ongoing, so the teams can work through those. I have no further updates as to how long that is expected to take, but as per usual, hopefully it will be sooner than later, and we can get back into the game on this one, see who comes out on top. This game is still very close between the two squads. It is 100 Thieves who have the first 2 Drakes, though, which does often lead us to a point where now the pressure is on FlyQuest. Do you choose to answer here for the 3rd Drake, even if you're not super confident in the fact that you can take that fight? Or do you give away that soul point, make it so then you have to answer every single one thereafter? That's the impossible choice.
I think you got to go now because you cannot afford to, especially with this comp. Like, you've got Twisted Fate, all the things that we mentioned with Rakan, Hecarim, Gnar, all looking for these mid-game opportunities where you get this initiation, you try and pick somebody off, you start to get some objectives for yourself. If they let Soul Point go over 200 Thieves that have such good possibilities for scaling damage for side lanes, especially later on, I think it will be really hard for FlyQuest to come back. Pick up right where we left off, though, Flowers. Thieves in the top side of the map. They are making the play without any confrontation. And honestly, with FlyQuest right now going for the trade on bottom side, it's not too shabby for them. They want to get that money into the Xayah, into Johnson, like we're talking about. So they're letting him have solo gold on those turret plates on the bottom half of the map and should be able to finish up that tower himself.
It's all about that funnel. Make sure that Kai'Sa's got every single possible resource and then a couple more. Buy one, get one free is not enough. She needs the whole store with a purchase. Now we got to play here in the mid lane. Dive potentially coming out with a lot of damage down into Dreams, but he gets away with a quickness. 100 Thieves go for the play, but not quite enough damage to find the kill.
Xayah is the baby bird. Open your mouth wide. Gotta chew up all the food and feed it right into Xayah's mouth. Tasty gold here. Udyr over the top, though. Blast Cone.
Oh, baby, Licorice is gone. 100 Thieves come up top right as FBI is ready to knock down the turret. They make sure they get a little bit of extra on top. Buy one, get one free, and 100 Thieves has a 2-1 game.
You said, where's the next kill going to be? Boom, top side of the map. 100 Thieves with the Kai'Sa up there. This is Gale Force plus the early lethality completed. Really, really dangerous. And with the extra money here, FBI is really going to be an unmatched threat on Summoner's Rift. Still has Flash and Cleanse available. For the counterplay. And Collector completed already. Flowers, Collector has been one of the #1 contributors to so many of our pentakills being by 80 carries this year. Makes it super
never
easy
barely miss it.
Exactly. It's built into the game. You can't miss the last hits.
It's like normally so many pentas just randomly get stolen by, oh no, I didn't kill the guy by 30 damage and now Leona accidentally killed him with an auto attack, but not anymore. Someday wants to get away, but the onslaught of shadows on top of the blast cone, they keep him locked down. Someday just goes right back to his doom and FlyQuest tie up the kills.
Blast cones are the deadliest item in the game. Changed my mind, Captain Flowers. We just
I agree.
Death by flying Udyr on the other side of the map, and now they pop the cone right in Someday's face, back into their waiting arms. And FlyQuest continue to get some gold off of Someday getting these kills on the side lane, but it's not really funneling right into their carry potential here. You see the gold difference in carries. FBI, has been funneled more effectively than Johnson thus far.
Yeah, look at that difference in the gold. FBI at the top, ahead by about a whole BF sword's worth of value compared to the next closest person, which is his lane opponent. And then the replay went down like this. Someday hops over the wall, but there's just too much still waiting on him, man. There's that Everfrost CC you were talking about, too.
I love it. It's my favorite in the game. Wait, is it? It must have been the range auto through him. It must have been Palafox. That was not Someday, right? You look at the animation on Someday's legs, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. We're getting down to the point where we're analyzing frames. This is Smash Bros now, but 100 Thieves making the plays here in the bottom lane. Licorice wants to get away from this one, but the boys still got a long way to run. Closer continues the chase here, and the Gnar ulti gets Licorice out, with the rest of FlyQuest now coming to collapse in a 5v4. 100 Thieves bringing in their top laner for a full-on 5v5. Remember, the Gnar ulti was used, so they will not have that here for the team fight. Seeing that everybody from the Thieves is here, Someday has arrived. FlyQuest no longer want to jump in and immediately begin the fight. Closer running in, but he's got almost no mana left to work with. Stolen Hecarim ulti here for Ryoma. Dreams goes in, finds a knock up onto 2. Onslaught of Shadows into the back, still looking for the FlyQuest support. FBI takes the kill. 100 Thieves going to be outplayed here with a little bit of damage coming out from Johnson. FlyQuest still looking to find more damage. Everybody's dropping back and forth here as we've got ourselves a 3 for 2. 100 Thieves losing out in the fight now in the aftermath of that 3v2 fight, but the Gnar ulti is not ready. Closer's in hot pursuit. Run, stun, job is done. Palafox has to try to get out of there, and he will successfully get away to safety. But 100 Thieves will win the fight, and the dragon is their prize.
That's number 3. That is the soul point. But more importantly, Flowers, heads were collected today. 5 kills now on FBI. Even though he walked up there and then burned the flash towards the end of the fight. 5-0 for FBI for this Kai'Sa. Everybody gonna have to be scared if FlyQuest are going to have a hope coming back in this game. They need to time this flash and this cleanse. They need to get that bounty now. FBI has a wanted poster up in FlyQuest headquarters, and the reward is the game. They need to get this kill, punish him while he doesn't have summoners, or else it's going to be out of reach soon.
And man, that last fight, imagine if Licorice had the Gnar ulti there at the very end. Even though FlyQuest was 2 versus 3, it looked like they had a fighting chance. But now it's 100 Thieves making a move here in the mid lane. The chain CC will destroy Johnson. Even if he would have had the ulti available, he was CC'd from 100 to 0, or at least it looked that way. And 100 Thieves find another pick. They find the mid lane tier 1 turret. They have a 2,000 gold lead, and things are going really well for them here in this mid game.
Yeah, again, this team scales so well. So since they had such a good early game, now going to be really comfortable in them playing it out. In the side lanes there, Licorice trying to push outside for FlyQuest, but you've got now Camille here. Someday, with as much as they kept him down, he's at least his level 11 for his rank 2 Hextech Ultimatum and has his Trinity Force. So he's got a fighting chance. He is a threat. FBI, okay, no summoners.
All right, FBI dashing away over the wall here with the Killer Instinct. Keeps him alive a little bit longer. Vyoma's showed up to save the day, and the counterattack is already en route. Let's see if they can get anything here on this one. Jose Deodo already going to explode. Someday with the ultimatum down into Dreams, picking up a second kill here, but it's traded 1 for 1. 100 Thieves still continuing the fight with Closer arriving now, looking to run somebody down. Can't get in range here just in time quite yet. Licorice going to be stunned up. More damage coming through. Chain CC. And that is a 3rd kill for the side of 100 Thieves. And they are not done with 3. They're going to make it 4. FBI could not be assassinated in time. And that means 100 Thieves destroy this fight.
Yeah, they destroyed the fight, Flowers, and guess what? Baron is next, about to get destroyed in the pit. Palafox will have nothing to say about it. Once again, dry on mana, no life left as well. This is dream scenario, Flowers. Kai'Sa by herself, no summoners on the outside, but FBI, good ultimate up over the wall. Ryoma uses his own ultimate to get back into the fight with the Twisted Fate Seal. Then they have the teleport from Someday channeled as well. All of 100 Thieves rally around FBI. They collapse on it and pick up the extra kills here, killing Someday on the outside. Then even with just the tip of the slow there landing on the Licorice, it's enough for Udyr to get into range. They pick up the extra one, and they can just keep on chasing you down. Red Wolf picked up there by FBI. He even throws one auto out on a minion before finishing off his opponents. And that's going to be 100 Thieves with some new colors. This is the new merch. Wearing purple now instead of red. And I like those colors. This is easy 1-3-1 colors.
Oh, and they're not done yet. They're already going right back into the fight. Huhi goes for the engage, and Closer is running real fast towards these guys, but they don't have everybody here. Ryoma not available, Someday not available, so they will not chase any further. But 4,500 damage from Ryoma in that previous fight that won them the Baron buff. Huge moves coming out of this Sylas. 2-0 and 8, 10 out of 11 kill participation, no deaths. Honestly, only Someday and Huhi have died at all so far for 100 Thieves this game. Someday is 4 out of 5 of the deaths. He's the one that FlyQuest have focused and that FlyQuest have been able to find kills on. The guy's actually doing the damage untouched.
Yeah, and guess what? The damage, the data that I gave you in our pause about Ryoma, highest damage share of any mid laner in the LCS, probably just going to get better. Twisted Fate ultimate here, attempt from FlyQuest though.
That doesn't look like it's going to turn into much more than an attempt. Dreams, Johnson, and Jose Deodo all falling back here, trying to defend the mid lane tier 2 as a 3-man squad. Will successfully clear out those Baroned up minions. 100 Thieves still has 2 tier 2 turrets that they could try to take. One in the top lane, one here in the mid lane. But more importantly, Kobe, Baron buff is around for another 60 seconds or so. The Infernal Soul spawns in 20 seconds. And 100 Thieves is aware of that. They're coming in to make the play. They get the cleanse out of the enemy AD carry already. Ryoma's coming into the back line. Closer already starting things off. A lot of damage going down, but Ryoma's the one who's going to be focused. Stasis buys him an extra moment, and he's able to dash away and stay alive. FBI still looking for a little bit more damage here, and 100 Thieves, despite their best efforts, will not find a single kill. FlyQuest with a good disengage, now trying to re-engage and find something after the fact. Knock up onto Closer, but Dreams is taken down to 100 HP. 100 Thieves continuing to walk away from this one. Huhi mounting the counterattack to the counterattack. Palafox, they'll see if he stays alive after the stasis. Huhi's already going to be taken down. FBI is godlike. Ryoma still tanking a little bit more damage. The Everfrost not quite killing off Jose Deodo as Closer still looks to try to protect his AD carry here. FlyQuest are winning the fight now, grabbing the kill onto Someday. Licorice keeping the remaining 2 players locked down. Closer's on the run. Ryoma's out of there too. A little bit more slows going through as Jose Deodo tries to eat all the apples in the river to stay healthy. Closer's still alive. A smite fight is still on the table. Everybody is low on both sides. Johnson, the only man with a good health bar, ready to go here. Stunned up by Closer. Shut down onto Ryoma. Closer's running away, and some way, somewhere, somehow, FlyQuest will win the fight and stop the Soul.
They got the bounty off of FBI's head. That was 1,000 gold kill where Licorice is able to get back to FBI. Even forces the stopwatch inside the brush. Still finishes off the extra kill. Huge bounty picked up for them. Regardless, here's the reinitiation for FlyQuest. You see Licorice on the top side, building up his rage bar. Palafox goes in for the gold card, then instant Zhonya's here on the outside. He does get taken down, but it kind of draws in Ryoma there using the Hecarim ultimate and not being able to finish off Jose. Licorice transforms into Mega, flashes for the ultimate. Even though FBI has a well-timed stopwatch, as soon as he comes out, gets instantly stunned by Licorice. Well-timed there on the stopwatch timing from Licorice. He gets the big kill, the shutdown there for FlyQuest. And just in time, Flowers, they like to make it exciting here in the North American LCS. They wait till Soul Point. They wait till it's a fully stacked bounty on FBI's head. 1,000 gold can't get any bigger. They get both of them here.
Very well done from FlyQuest. Now we'll see if the momentum has truly shifted. They're about 2,500 gold down, which honestly, considering how this game was looking with an early 20-minute something Baron and an early Infernal Soul point for 100 Thieves, it was looking really, really dire. But only 2,500 gold separating things. FlyQuest is still in this game.
And they have to keep on making similar plays here. Dreams on the squad now needs to be able to coordinate with the rest of this engage. I've been pleasantly surprised, with how well it's actually working already. With how recently they put him onto the roster. These recon follow-ups, Licorice, Jose, him do seem to coordinate quite well. Palafox on this Twisted Fate has gone for the Zhonya's. He did not go for the extra range with the rapid fire cannon. He's just teleporting in, using the gold card Everfrost, and using Zhonya's to try and buy himself time and wait for the rest of the engage for FlyQuest to come through and follow up on that target. And as we were tracking the carries here, Johnson has at least been able to get to his 2 items, Power Spike there with the Essence Reaver, Gale Force, and slap down the Last Whisper, which is a nice little stepping stone there, for some of your armor penetration. Udyr already has a ton of armor, so you're eventually going to have to, hit some frontline in this composition. Both him and Leona are going to be presenting themselves as targets because Johnson cannot misposition or position too super aggressively. Is probably going to have to hit a lot of closest target.
Honestly, everybody not named FBI on 100 Thieves has some armor. Yes, Leona and Udyr are going to be very tanky in general, but Camille already at least has plated steel caps. It's not a lot, but it's something. And even for the Sylas, having the Zhonya's Hourglass means a lot in terms of just having some of that extra survivability against physical damage. So I'm a big fan of the Last Whisper as well. We'll keep an eye on Palafox's inventory, see when that Zeal does turn into a rapid fire cannon, because that is a huge amount of playmaking for this champion. Over there in the jungle, you can see the Randuin's Omen already completed for Jose Deodo. This item not giving you quite as much playmaking opportunities as Deadman's because you don't get the movement speed, but in terms of sheer tank stats, it's far superior.
Yeah, it's so good, especially because you can apply it to your opponents without them having to target you. The active now, including some of the damage reduction with the slow. Closer though, I run, I stun.
Oh,
that's about it.
The job's not done. Okay, he's gone.
That was actually, all right, job's done. I'm taking off. See ya.
Yep, we did what we had to do. We got his ulti. That's the job. Easy job. I'll take that job.
Oh my goodness. That's why I've played Udyr for years, my friend. Guys, as a fellow run Skarner yourself.
Oh yeah, I feel you, buddy. I feel you. We're on the same page here with this one. But the next page that we're on right now is another Infernal Drake spawning in about 35 seconds. FlyQuest stopped it once before, now they've got to do it again. This is the situation that we talked about. As soon as you let them have that 3 dragon point, you must answer every single one of these spawns after that. 20 seconds to go, checking in on summoner spells, all 10 ready to launch here on the side of FlyQuest. Same story being told for 100 Thieves. This fight should be truly wild. As the route down onto Dreams, he's able to dash away to safety right after. Palafox with the gold card. Won't quite find a target to stun here with that one. Throws it out at Closer, but that is a tanky boy who he's going in with a flash engage. The follow-up is beautiful. 100 Thieves going in there. Palafox staying alive just barely. Johnson with a big counterattack. Jose Deodo jumping in. FlyQuest having to run away with FBI into the back line here with a killer instinct. Nar is jumping around, but is it enough? No, sir, it is not. Licorice is now locked down next. FBI continues his damage-dealing spree. Johnson tries to be the hero, but it's all just a 0. FlyQuest cannot withstand 100 Thieves a second time, and Infernal Soul will go over to 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves will reap all the rewards here, Flowers. Soul picked up easily. There's another 20 seconds left on the jungler as well. Closer can run out there. Wonder about the timing as far as resetting towards the Baron side of the map. Get a little vision out there quickly. I honestly thought Huhi was going to try and initiate onto Johnson to blow the Xayah ult early, but look how much damage they did to Palafox in the initial attempt here. He actually gets taken down right after with the Zhonya, so probably didn't even get off a single spell there, and they basically eliminated one player. Then, as you know, FBI firing free from the backside. Johnson tries to make the flashy play there. Someday does not go down, though. And 100 Thieves have the run of Summoner's Rift. Yep, they get the soul, and they get the easy reset to get right back out to the Baron. So no response here from FlyQuest. They can only push out a few of these minion waves and try and pick up some of their jungle before 100 Thieves come toward. Oh, Smite goes down. Looks like Closer did win.
All right. Well, that doesn't matter a whole lot, though, because when you consider the state of everything else, the fact that the Infernal Soul has now been given over, the fact that 100 Thieves have control over the map, Baron is alive, FlyQuest have a lot of things to be mindful of, a lot of things to have to answer. Someday tries to jump over the wall after Dreams, but he escapes in time over the wall to the Wraith Pit. As Ryoma jumps forward, stolen Gnar ulti, FBI with a killer instinct, and Licorice is all the way on the run. They get his flash, which is a very important team fighting mechanism there with that ulti. And having won that small victory, it looks like 100 Thieves are going straight back over to Baron. This ward may just see them walk into the pit, should see FBI as a step to the side. They've got the Twisted Fate ult to be aware of what's going on anyway. But it doesn't matter if you're aware. All you bought was front row seats to watch them take the Baron. Nobody's in the neighborhood that cannot be stopped. Baron over to 100 Thieves for the second time.
Yeah, I think the only even possible change to a call for FlyQuest there would be if Jose actually did not go right side, and maybe they threw him out for a Hail Mary attempt at a steal. You keep your Twisted Fate split pushing on bottom side, get a tower, maybe get a little pressure, and just throw Jose in there. Maybe he's able to get a Hecarim ultimate into the pit and try and get a miracle steal. But 100 Thieves with such a vice grip on this one. They had the entire blue quadrant just dark for FlyQuest, so they can't see anything, running up towards the Baron. Plus, they, as you said, just blew Licorice's flash, so the front line, not a lot of bite there, and they have to give it up. 100 Thieves with Baron again, though, Flowers. Pushing on both sides should be effortless for them. They've got teleports on both Someday and Ryoma, both of which already past level 16. Extremely capable of syncing up these waves. They could get all three of them, but they're actually going 4-1 here instead, trying to take control of the jungle just mid and top instead.
Closer just blowing up those blast cones as he runs through the enemy jungle, saying he doesn't want FlyQuest to be able to walk out here, try to contest vision, and have an extra escape mechanism. They've got to commit if they want to try to control this side of the jungle, and they simply cannot do so. Another blast cone blown up by Closer. I'm glad that he does this. This is the exact same thing I do, man. When you're on the offensive like this, don't give them any extra escape routes. Just make sure that every single one of those is blown up. FlyQuest will have to try to defend now. Minion waves crashing into top and mid at just about the same time. Ryoma keeping the Baron buff applied to the mid lane minions, making them more difficult to clear out for Johnson. But neither one of these tier 3 turrets has taken substantial damage just yet.
Yeah, they want honorable fights only. No blast cones, no dashes allowed. Everybody pretend that you're grounded as well, and we will be super happy. Baron buff, they actually aren't syncing up the waves, so top one will crash first because longer route there for the minions. Doesn't really matter for 100 Thieves, though. They can just bully them.
Huhi ulti dropped down, but not a lot of success out of that one. Huhi now disengaging once more, but the tier 3 turret is gone, and Someday's going into the back line. Johnson already using the ulti here, with Someday being juggled around in the air, but FBI's on a rampage, already killing off Rakan. Closer disengages in time. Johnson's got 20 HP left. And 100 Thieves, they get a double kill onto Kaisa with the long-range shot to finish off Palafox with a 5v3 here on the map, and FlyQuest struggling to even hold their ground. Someday will lead the charge in the remaining lane to take down the third inhibitor. 1, 2, 3, just getting them all at once in one fell swoop. And with a TP back in, Ryoma has rejoined the fight. Someday has rejoined the fight. 100 Thieves are looking to end it right here. Someday will continue diving after the remaining FlyQuest targets, and targets is all that they are. FlyQuest has no ability to try to resist this push at this point. They lose their AD carry, they lose their Nexus turrets, they lose the Nexus itself, and 100 Thieves will find their win 34 minutes into the game.
100 Thieves looking like they have renewed focus, Captain Flowers. Yesterday, suffering the extremely long pause into remake, into remade draft. Today, they just come out firing everybody across the board. Someday, your turn to get camped. He was definitely bullied early on.
Yep.
First couple of kills there. FlyQuest throwing globals at him. Twisted Fate, plus even support roams. Rakan going up there. Dreams out here for FlyQuest trying to get some early work done. But again, that wasn't enough money. It wasn't any sort of real map control either for FlyQuest to get their game plan on the road. And 100 Thieves just stuck to it, stacked their dragons, and the victory here in the team fight as well. Ryoma on the front lines, dishing out a lot of damage, creating space for FBI as well.
And for 100 Thieves, this is a very important win because it does keep them in the running for that upper bracket in the playoffs. Once today's games are over, every team is only going to have one game left to play, and that'll be tomorrow before the midseason showdown. So every win matters so much. That's the end of this one, though, so we're tossing it to a quick break. And when we return, the Tigress will be talking to Huhi in the Verizon post-game interview, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the LCS. We've got another Verizon post-game interview for you following that 100 Thieves victory, and we are joined by Huhi. Now, that was a different bot lane than the last time you defeated FlyQuest. What were your overall thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, I think the matchup, it felt like they were still like kind of nervous because I felt like level 1 they made a pretty big mistakes in the lane, but it didn't like come off as like a big reward for us. But yeah, like the level 1 mistake, I felt like, oh, like that shouldn't really happen by them, but like we couldn't punish. It was our bad, but I think if we could have, it could have got like out of the hands.
And I mean, on the 100 Thieves side, you're talking about your play down here in the bot lane, and we got to see a lot of that traditional play with FBI just going bananas in the bot lane position, you on the engage support. What has allowed 100 Thieves to be a bit more in form in these recent games, and how important is it to grab those wins before you head into playoffs?
I mean, I think we were a pretty aggressive team, like in the beginning of the split and in the lock-in tournament. And I think going in towards like in the middle and the end, I think we kind of dropped our old habits and kind of went to like mid-late game team fighting comp. But yeah, I think we kind of realized that we should just go back to our aggressive style and like just be really confident on what we do. And I think that just helped us grab these 2 wins. That was pretty important for us to make statement going into the playoff that we're coming back and that the teams should be challenged by us as well.
And you need to keep that confidence up because there's still so much up in the air for standings and determining who finishes top 4, meaning also starting in that upper bracket. You have to defeat Team Liquid tomorrow to be able to secure that sort of position. What do you think is going to be the key to taking them down?
I think versus Team Liquid, I think their bot side players are also really strong, but I feel like they're just overall a pretty solid team. I think we could definitely have a pretty good chance going against them. We won last time, if I recall correctly. I think we just have to focus on our own gameplay and have a good draft by us, and we should be able to confidently snowball our lead through that.
Well, we are all looking forward to continuing to see you all play, not just tomorrow, but in the playoffs themselves. We're sending things back over to the State Farm analyst desk. Huhi, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where 100 Thieves picking up a solid victory and keeping themselves in contention for that top 4 and the upper bracket of the postseason. Prime will come to you first on their performance here today. Curious how you view what they put up in front of us, given the recent criticism we've had for them for their lack of proactivity in the early game.
So I view it as pretty good. In particular, Closer, I think over those last few games, and this game is not an exception, has been a catalyst for early game advantages. We saw him gank for first blood. We saw him with a really nice blast cone gank after the lane slap to get another kill. And overall, I think that in the absence of the style that they had before, which was more having a roaming mid make plays onto the side lane and that being the way that they generate advantages, I think Closer has been a more traditional jungler who hasn't dropped his objective control. His objective control is still among the better in the league, but he's better at now facilitating leads directly. That said, when I look at 100 Thieves overall, to be honest, I kind of view this as like a TL or C9 light. I'm not seeing anything here that I think is head and shoulders above what other teams do. I think overall, they sort of struggled to close this game out in a convincing fashion. They had that fight there where, Closer went in for a Dragon Steel without having flash. So overall, I feel good about what they put on the Rift, but I don't feel good about this look for playoffs.
Emily?
Yeah, I think one thing that I really did like was that early gank from Closer. I think it really helped set Ryoma up, and if you are going to be playing mid as a control point, as we saw from the TSM game, it's good to have that early gank for your mid laner because then they immediately get lane prio. I think Ryoma also did a really good job with stealing ultimates. This is a great game to pick Sylas when you have both solo laners and Hecarim locked in with the NRTF in the first 2 rotations on blue side, so I really liked that response as well from 100 Thieves. The thing I worry about for them is sometimes when they contest things that they don't have to, the dragon being a really specific one where after they lose the fight, they then still try to contest it when they already have stacked 3 drakes and they don't really need to push for soul there if you only have 2 people versus the rest of FlyQuest. So it's like shoring up these little pain points where they fight when they maybe shouldn't, or maybe they should be splitting someday off in a side lane as Camille. She's an excellent side laner to try to create more map pressure that way. Those are the things like Primal already kind of alluded to that I'm a little bit concerned about for 100 Thieves going into a playoff format where you're going to be playing in longer best of 5s.
I think that it's looking good for 100 Thieves. They haven't been playing with Ryoma for that long, honestly. He replaced Demonte 66% through the split or something like that. So having these games go along and having these scrappy team fights allows them to build synergy together, 1 in team fighting and 2 in doing macro objectives and plays. So despite it not being the cleanest way to end out the game, I think it's good for 100 Thieves anyway, just so that they can have more practice playing through Ryoma and knowing how he takes these fights and how he approaches the objective fights as well.
Agreed. And, I think we should expect them to not look quite as clean late game as they did with Demonte, given how much experience they had with him. And not to be all doom and gloom, right? I think Huhi had really, really great engage there that we saw that pretty much won the game for them with him getting directly onto TF. We saw FBI had outstanding performance mechanically. So the players are good, right? That's never been in question. The question is, when you have all these good parts, what does the whole look like? And I'm not convinced that the whole looks as distinct as refined from a stylistic perspective perspective as they looked earlier in the split. So I'm hoping that either they go back to the style that they had or they find a new distinct and strong style with Ryoma.
Well, you know who's still performing super well? FBI. I thought he played team fights really, really well this game, and he was, again, awarded our player of the game. One thing that is consistently really interesting about 100 Thieves to me also is how high his damage percentage is across the board, like his damage numbers for this team. I'm not even saying it as a good or a bad statistic. It tells you a lot about how 100 Thieves play, though, is that they want FBI firing from the back line, and today was another example of just how well he can perform in these team fights.
I was going to say, at a certain point, damage percentage numbers get too high for a single player, and it becomes to be bad for a team,
Well, he still
right?
has that Senna game where it was like 50% or 51% or something like that with the fasting Senna, yeah.
I think we call that too big to fail. I'm actually a little concerned about how high
No.
Well, if you're winning the
But
game,
you
it
know what?
doesn't matter.
You got 12 kills on Kai'Sa. I feel like that's one of the few champions where it does make a little sense that you are popping off that big. Hi, I'm curious, final thoughts here on 100 Thieves as we do move towards the postseason picture, and kind of keying off of what Primal said as we try and make these comparisons between the version of 100 Thieves that we saw be so competitive at the start of the split and trying to kind of rework themselves into something new here as we head towards the playoffs.
Honestly, the stylistic changes would obviously be from the change of their mid laners. I don't actually know if Ryoma is that much different of a mid laner than Damonte. He's played Azir and then he played Sylas as well. And Damonte has shown that he does play control mages, but he mostly plays like the frontline mages, so and like Sylas or Kali, things like that, frontliners. So I don't really know if they brought in Ryoma because he can play different champions than Damonte or because they just think he's better. I'm not really positive on the reason, but it's been looking good so far. They're winning games again, and I think moving forward to playoffs, I don't have them winning playoffs for me, but they're top 4, if that's anything for them, if that makes them feel better. I have them top 4, but that's as far as I got them.
Alrighty, well, they're sitting at 11.
Does that make them feel better?
I don't know.
Maybe
People
we'll
are
find
happy with
out
that.
via Twitter soon enough. Sitting at 11-6 right now, currently tied with TSM in second place. We got more action coming your way. It's Evil Geniuses taking on Team Liquid right after this.
Many of us are working from home and adjusting to new coworkers. Coworkers who borrow supplies and always interrupt meetings. A gift can help. And when you use your MasterCard, you have security benefits that keep you protected, so your purchase ends up in the right hands or mouth. And your staff can start something priceless.